Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast here on ringbellsonline.com. I am, as usual, your host, the silver-tongued Lothario, Irish Stu Allen. And I am here, I thought that would pop you, I am here with the freaky one himself, the English part of our little double act, Mr. Lee Burton.
Well, so much for truth in broadcasting.
Well, you know, we try. It's all about perception being reality, right? If I say it often enough, people might believe it.
There you go.
Yes. But yeah, so we're here for another edition of the podcast. It's episode 56, as we rapidly approach the milestone episode 100. No, I can't keep doing that. I can't start that already.
No, it's far too early to be doing that.
Yeah, it is. But we've got a guest on the show. Thank goodness for that. Otherwise, it'd be a very boring podcast.
Yeah, just a bit.
Someone we're inviting back onto the show for the third time, and the second time as a full podcast. We're talking about the super hardcore anime herself, LuFisto.
Just as a frame of reference, the last time we spoke to her was nearly 3 years ago. It's kind of time that we spoke to her again.
Yeah, well, she's had a lot to talk about recently as well. I mean, I think everyone listening to this show is going to have a pretty good idea about what she's been up to in 2013. You know, big things like wrestling at AAA in Mexico and you know, terrible things like splatting on a moonsault.
One thing that, many people would have seen because it was broadcast on iPPV, but there are some good things to be talking about as well, so we will be asking those things too.
Yeah. I want to thank her as well for giving us the interview as well. This is the only interview she says she's going to do about her injury and so on, so thank you very much for that.
Very privileged.
Yes. But we've been providing plenty of audio content in the last month on the site, and before we get LuFisto on the show, quick recap if anybody's missed any of this stuff.
Yeah, we've had 2 podcasts in the last month, varying as far as the sort of guest is concerned. I mean, one of them is a rising indie star in Leia Von Dutch, which is episode 55. Before that, we had former WWE Diva, First Lady of Ring of Honor, Maria Kanellis on as well. Talking about a whole range of different subjects, both of them very open, both of them very chatty, and both of them you should really go back and listen to.
Yes, a lot of time for both of those ladies. And of course, Leia Von Dutch is now in the UK as part of her UK tour. So if you are in the UK listening to this, you'll still have a few opportunities to catch her before she heads back to Canada.
Yeah, she's wrestling a date or two.
Yes, she is. And if you want to know, go to her Facebook. She's got a nice little JPEG up there of all of her dates. It's brilliant. It's fantastic.
Oh, I love that. It's so cool.
Yes. And not only that, we've had some of our other website-exclusive audio snippets as well. I talked to Heidi Lovelace recently for one of our Fight Like a Girl shows. Really enjoyed that. That's one of my favourite ones that I've talked to. She's somebody I think a lot of people are going to realise has got a lot of potential very, very soon. She's spreading her wings. She's going to be in the Chikara Tag World Grand Prix this month. She's going to be back in Shine for Shine 10. She's part of OVW. She's getting around.
Yeah, I spoke to Bellatrix's Violet O'Hara as well for an episode of My Name Is. We talked about a whole range of different stuff, including her being absolutely tiny, as well as her recently doing a tables match and how that felt. So there's quite a few little nuggets of things to listen to in that one. About 15 minutes, I reckon, and it just gives you a bit of an introduction as to who Violet is and where she's looking to go in life.
She is tiny, isn't she?
She's 4'10".
She is tiny, but you know,
you'll find out what she wanted to do before she discovered wrestling, and it is quite interesting. I didn't even know that was a job.
Well, you know, here's the thing as well. If we're talking about people like Maria Kanellis and other people on the way up, like Leia Von Dutch and Heidi Lovelace, you're going, well, I have no idea who Violet O'Hara is. That's the point of the My Name Is shows. For a lot of people, you're probably not going to know who they are, but it's a chance to meet and greet and get to know some people who might be coming up on your radar sometime soon.
And follow them on Facebook and Twitter. There are always links.
Yes. Apart from that, as far as we're concerned, ways to interact with us. You can email us, ringbells@gmail.com. You can tweet us at ringbells on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/ringbells.
You can also subscribe to These Women of Wrestling podcasts on iTunes.
Yeah, and if you do that, and I know there are lots of you who do, I've said this before, and really the response has been terrible. Get some reviews in, people. Seriously, if you subscribe to us on iTunes, and we know there are thousands of you who do, get out there, give us some reviews, and it helps us as far as our sort of visibility is concerned on iTunes, and it helps other people find the show.
Spread the word, share the wealth, do not keep it to yourself.
Yes. We're also on Stitcher as well. If you've got that for your smartphone, you can stream the shows on there as well. A couple other things just to mention briefly. If you go to the website, you'll see there's a scrolling advert there for highspots.com. If you want to buy something from Highspots, do us the favour of clicking through our link to get there. It'll help us as far as a small kickback is concerned. It's all helpful towards the running costs of the website. Another way to support the website is to, buy a t-shirt.
Yes, we do have a few t-shirts. We're going to be having a couple more coming up. If you go to the website, you can just click shop, or you can go to ringbellsonline.com/shop, and there is both a US and rest of world store and a UK and Europe store.
Yes, all good stuff. But enough from us. Let's get to our guest, LuFisto, who is someone who you've always considered to be one of your heroines.
I only have two, so she's 50% of all my heroes.
Well, in that case, let's get her on the show. Okay, welcome back, everybody, and we are back here with our interviewee at this time. She is the super hardcore anime herself. She is Peekaboo's best friend. She's Lee's heroine, and I'm wearing a LuFisto t-shirt. It's LuFisto, everybody.
You're Aaron? That's nice.
Well, that's what you always say, Lee, isn't it?
I didn't know it was some sort of drug.
Well, there is that too. But, there's one question we need to start with, and it's the most pressing question that we are going to ask you today. Very simply, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks. My recovery is really going fast, and it's like I'm having a speedy recovery. 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks now that I had my surgery, and I'm already walking. And this morning I was able to, hop on the bike and just pedal a little bit. So that's really awesome.
You were driving your car at the weekend as well, you tweeted?
Yeah, I couldn't drive my car before because I wasn't able to bend my legs, so I couldn't even get in my car, and I couldn't reach the pedal just to drive because I couldn't bend my leg. So, I was able to drive as well. So right now, the only thing is that it's still a little bit stiff, but I can pretty much do everything besides weight training. Or wrestling.
It does sound quite weird, though, that you say you were driving what's, comparatively soon after what seems like quite a big surgery.
Yeah, it was. Usually people, the doctor was telling me, usually it takes 6 weeks to people to be able to do such things. But after 2 weeks, I was actually driving and walking, and I'm really slow going up the stairs and all that kind of stuff, but I'm really I'm almost moving like a normal person.
But is that because it's healing faster, or is it because you have a better tolerance for pain than maybe other people do?
I think it's a little bit of both, because if you're used to training, then you're used to keep your muscles strong, and when you're healthy, you always you will heal up faster than somebody who doesn't do anything. To me, just working out my legs is something I do all the time, so it's not any different now with the knee surgery. I'm working my leg differently just so it moves better and it gets back to normal. But yeah, I just think and I always had a high tolerance for pain. So
yeah, we've noticed. Yeah,
but I wasn't that strong. The following day of the surgery, I was in so much pain. Oh my god! And I like they gave me some pills, and for some reason, some of them like were not. I don't know. I didn't tolerate them at all, so I kind of flipped out and like I went back to the hospital and I don't remember a thing. So as soon as I could get rid of those like of this medication, like I did it because that was it's too much for me. Like I prefer to go the whole school way, just with ice and rest.
So how long have you been off medication then?
Oh, I took medication for a week and that's it.
A week.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's go back and let's talk about what actually happened. I mean, I think everyone who's listening to the show now will almost certainly know exactly what happened and probably watched it live. And that's the bizarre thing is like your big moment on international live pay-per-view around the world, and you crashed and burned on the moonsault on Shimmer 53. Take us back to that moment. I mean, what can you remember, or can you remember anything about that?
Well, I remember everything because I was in there with Allison Kane. Everybody was fighting outside. I went up to do the moonsault, and then people were not at the spot where I wanted them to be. So I went down, kicked somebody, and went up again, like thinking they would move. And up there, I thought they were moving, but they did not. So when I jumped, like I kind of noticed they were not, like, and I just crashed on the floor.
There's a really great photo of the moment where you're sort of upside down, flying through the air, and you're looking at where they are, kind of realizing that they're not where you would hope they would be. I mean, with that going through your head, I mean, there's that split moment between, I guess, okay, they're not there, I'm going to hit the floor right now. What do you think when that happens? I mean, is that a fear or anything like that? How do you feel at that particular moment?
Like, it was just to land safely, like as much, like land in the safest way possible I can, not to hit, not to break like my neck and like any major, my back or like I'm still trying to think like. How could I miscalculate so bad? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I always go this way. And I looked at other matches where I do it. It's like I landed like where I land. I'm like, I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe I didn't push right. Maybe like, I don't know. But like when it happened, like I landed on the floor and I remember hitting and like the bottom of my body went like really hard on the ground, and I remember it went through my knee pads, and I was like, oh, that hurt. And then I just took a few seconds like on the floor, and I didn't move much, but I was like, okay, my arms are all right, my feet, okay, I'm turning my head, everything's fine, okay, let's take a break. And it's only when I got up that I've noticed that I pushed myself with my right leg and everything was fine. It was like kind of sore, but, And when I pushed on my left leg, I'm like, oh my God, there's something wrong with my knee. And I'm like, I didn't know what it was. And I go back in the ring and I'm trying to work through the pain. And at one point, Nicole shoots me in the ropes, and I just like fell because I couldn't put any weight on my leg or running, and I managed to hit a burning hammer and a tiger suplex and all that stuff, and then we got eliminated. Got in the back, and like I was pretty sure it was only a big bruise because I had like no weird colors on top of it. But when I was touching it, I'm like, oh man, something's moving. But I'm like, I've waited a few seconds, put ice on it, and somebody like a nice wrestler, I can't remember his name, sorry. He brought me the merch table, and while I was there, I was able to bend it. I'm like, okay, it's just a bad bruise. I'm gonna be all right. And it was like so swollen, and I go backstage, and Tomoka and Ayumi, they take care of me. Like, they tape my knee, and Ayumi gives me a bunch of tape, and what else she gave me? Like, stuff to rub my knee, and then Amara came to see me, and she's like, what happened? Like, I'm like, and I tell her in Spanish, I'm like, siete mujer, nada. Like, there were 7 girls and none was there. Like, I just jumped like nowhere, like I completely missed or something. And it's like she didn't understand. It's like, nada. It's like, no, I don't know what happened. I just missed, whatever. And I went to bed, and the next day I woke up. I'm like, oh, the thing. I was supposed to go to Ohio with Sassy Steffi, and then go to Chicago and spend the whole week in the States. And the next day, like, it was like still swollen. I wasn't able to walk on it, and I'm like, I was supposed to stay, and Kalamity was leaving with Stefan, and I'm like, I took like a minute, and I'm like, okay, if this happened to Kalamity, what would I tell her? I would tell her to go home and, see a doctor. So that's what I'm going to do, because usually I'm good to give advice, but I never listen to them. But I'm like, for a second, I'm like, what would I tell my student? And I'm like, I would tell her to go home. And I'm like, Stefan, I'm going back home. I'm not flying. I'm not going to Ohio, because there's something wrong, and I don't know what it is. I just thought it was a bad bruise. But obviously, when I went to the doctor 3 days after, like, I've waited like 6 hours in the car to get home, because it was in New Jersey from my place.
That must have been uncomfortable.
Well, I was like lying on the back seat, so it was okay. But every time we had to go out to get some food or anything, it was like, but I was walking on it as much as I could, and we went to have some food, and if you have to stop for a restroom or whatever, and like, anyway, so I was able to see a doctor like 2 days after, and I got x-rays the same afternoon, and like an hour or 2 later, the doctor calls me. He's like, oh, there's a fracture there. It's like, there's one, and you need to see a specialist, because it's one of the joint, and you need a specialist to make sure like everything's fine. The next day, they call me at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's like, miss, did you eat? I'm like, yeah, why? Because we wanted to have the surgery on you, like, this afternoon. I'm like, what? Like, the following day, it's like, guess I need surgery, because I didn't know. It's like, oh, come see the doctor. And I went to see him. And he's like, okay, so tomorrow morning we're gonna have the surgery, like, right away. I'm like, wow, is it that bad? And he shows me the x-ray. What happened is, like, they call it an exploded kneecap.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's the word he used. I'm like, really? And it's when your kneecap breaks horizontally and vertically. It's like a cross. So it explodes, like, in pieces. So he showed me, like, what it looked like. It's like, well, that's why we need surgery, because I need to attach all the little pieces together, and I need screws and wires and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. So the next day, I was having the surgery.
So, I mean, that sounds fairly serious, having an exploded kneecap.
Fairly serious? Yeah. Are you sure you're using the term fairly correctly here?
I'm being British and therefore conservative.
Right.
But, yeah, the term exploded in anything doesn't sound very good. I mean, what did you think when you heard that? I mean, I would think, oh God, that sounds really bad.
Well, I thought so, but I'm like, the doctor, like, as soon as he told me, like, it was exploded, he went like, but, they broke in a nice straight way. So if I attach them, if I attach them, they're gonna, everything's gonna get back together easily. It's just to put the pieces together so they don't move, and they do actually, like, get back together. So I'm like, okay, that's not that bad, I guess, because it's something that can be fixed, and it's just that instead of, when you break your arm, you just put a cast. Since it's a little bone that's moving in your knee, like, they really need to open up the knee. Like, I have a scar about close to a foot long on my leg, and that's it. They went inside and put the screws and everything, and right now it's good. Like, it looked really ugly when I got it because I had staples, but now, like, it's getting much better.
I have almost actually the same scar. I had some knee problems when I was younger, and I had a problem with my kneecap. It used to dislocate, so I eventually had surgery on that, and I've got pretty much the exact same scar as you have. And I remember when I had the staples in it as well. Oh God, it looked bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it does look bad because the skin was like all stapled
Yellow
together. I'm like, you see all those little bumps. I'm like, oh my God, is it going to stay this way? This is so ugly.
Well, yeah. I feel all left out now because I don't have any scars on my knees. But one thing I did want to ask is, you said that when it first happened, you just thought it was quite badly bruised, and obviously you can't know what's wrong with it until a doctor checks it out. But if you'd have known that it was an exploded kneecap, like the doctor said it was, would you have still gone for that burning hammer on TaylorMade?
Oh yeah, like, I mean, I have to finish my match no matter what. Like, whatever happened in the 15 years I've been wrestling, every time I've been injured or something, I will always finish my match. Unless it's something like, if I would get like badly hit on the head and I can't remember, that's something else. But like, I've always finished my fourth match, I broke my wrist because I went for a splash from top rope, and the girl was waiting on me, like, elbows up. So I tried to avoid her, not to break her arms, so I actually broke my wrist, and I managed to powerbomb her, get the pinfall, go outside, shake hands, and go backstage. That was my fourth match ever. So I think it's like a tradition. Finish your match.
Wrestlers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
They're a rare breed.
They are not like us.
They're not. They really are not.
I wonder sometimes, is it courage or stupidity? Like, I don't know.
Probably a little bit of both.
I'm not entering. I'm not going into that debate at all.
It's probably a bit of both. Let's be honest. Okay. So we sort of. I mean, we'll go back and talk again about your prognosis and all in just a moment. But I also want to say as well, because you managed to complete the set now with Kalamity, just picking up an injury as well. She's apparently broken her foot.
Actually, I do have some good news for Kalamity. She had another test done on her foot, and it's not broken. It's like slightly cracked, but not broken. Like, she's gonna be all right. Like, she doesn't have to wear a cast. Like, she just had like some crutches for a few days. But just like me, she's so impatient. Like, she texts me and like, I don't want to walk with these things. It's like, oh, you tell me. This is just like me. She got rid of those, and I know she's doing a lot better now.
Again, wrestlers, they are not like us.
I know. But one funny thing I just remembered is, when you count how high I felt, like if you count the ring, the jump, the ropes, that was a high ring. Like, it was over 10 feet, like between 10 and 15 feet. So when I explained to the doctor, this is what I did, this is how it happened, he's like, and the kneecap is all you have? I'm like, yeah. Like, you thought it was really funny. It's like, oh, a normal person would have broken like so many bones. Like, oh, you're a tough one. I'm like, okay, like, he thinks it's funny, so I better laugh at us. Like,
well, I guess in fairness, if you want to look at a bright side of it, the moonsault, missed completely, and yes, your kneecap exploded, but it was a very, very nice flat bump.
I know. It's just that with the height and everything, like, it's just my knee landed so hard. Like, I was wearing knee pads, and like, it went through. Like,
well, had that been in a ring, I would have said, "Oh, that was lovely." Unfortunately,
Well, in the ring, I think it would have hurt, but not like there was no way it was going to break.
yeah,
Like,
you wouldn't have needed staples.
oh no, no, I don't think so.
So what's your prognosis now? I mean, what you say 3 weeks out from your surgery? What's your prognosis as far as your recovery?
So far, like so good because I go to physiotherapy twice a day. I do train. Actually, one thing I did when I got the injury because I didn't want to get out of shape. Actually, I was in the process to try to because I lost weight and I wanted to lose more, and so I was so afraid because the first knee surgery I had in 2002, like I got so big, and I'm like, no, 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 not again, not again. Like, so I emailed Nikki Rocks, and I asked her and Rain to like develop a program for me to work my knee and my fitness in general. So right now I'm on a diet they gave me. Like I didn't want to stop. Like I didn't want this to be in the way of my goal that I want to have by, the end of the year. So this helped me a lot because I do eat better. Like everybody tells me my skin is glowing and I look like more relaxed. And I guess the injury like got me more focused on being healthy, I guess, because I'm not wrestling, so it's more like, okay, my other goal of being finally fit. And I'm seeing the doctor again on May 29th, and he's going to tell me then if I could start training with weights or whatever. For wrestling, I'm aiming for July.
Well, I would pretty much bet we put some money in that. I think that's probably going to be achievable. Tell us a little bit about what Nikki Rocks and Rain are doing for you. I mean, they've got this new thing, BonRoxx Fitness, and I saw you were saying about how you joined up and you'd signed up to that. Is it just a regime as far as food, or have they cooked up a fitness regime for you as well?
No, they did like a workout program and like a diet, like for me to eat good LT food and train without, compromising my leg, the one I can't work. So I work around that. And well, the good news is, like I said, today I was able to bike a little bit. So for sure, like I think once I'm done with that interview, I'm gonna go on my bike and go for it and try to go for a little half an hour. Like it's a spinner bike. So usually I would use like the strength and go up and down on the bike, but I'm just gonna aim for a good, slow pace 30 minutes just to get my knee going, get the blood flowing, and hopefully I'll be able to work it like with more intensity about in a week.
30 minutes of cycling. I remember the last time I cycled, I had an asthma attack. Although having said that, the last time I danced the Gangnam Style, I had an asthma attack. I'm going to shut up for a while now.
Yeah, okay. Let me take over again. One of the major problems with your injury is that you missed out on some big opportunities that were coming your way around that same time. And I mean, first and foremost, this happened at Shimmer 53. You missed the Shimmer 54 to 57 tapings the next weekend in Chicago. And you missed being able to be there for Allison Danger's last weekend as an in-ring competitor as well. And I know that hurt.
Oh, like really, if my surgery was scheduled the week after, like I thought it would be, like I was going up by car with my broken knee with Mademoiselle Rochelle. Like I already had planned this, that I was going to Shimmer to be there for Allison Danger. But everything went so fast. Like 2 days after I see the doctor, like I have surgery. I'm like, okay, so it's not happening. But the first plan was for me to go by car with Mademoiselle Rochelle. So everything was planned. But I had the surgery before, so it was not possible for me to attend, unfortunately.
And not only was it Danger's last weekend as an in-ring competitor, but you also got to miss, sadly, Calamity's first main event in Shimmer as well.
I know, like, thank God I've seen many of her main events at Femme Fatale, but I'm glad she got to work Melissa. Like every time a girl works somebody like Melissa, it's always like a big learning. It's like a learning process. Like every time you work with somebody like that, or the likes of Mercedes, you always learn. So I know, like she's learned from that match. She's learned from Konnan, and she was able to bring Peekaboo. So I'm happy for her. Like she was able to hang out with all the people at Shimmer, and she
Yeah.
was even. Kanna's manager, like she brought her to the ring on the first match, so she got to hang out at least.
Hey, Pegaboo's a wrestler now as well. Didn't she wrestle Sumi Sakai at Indie Girls because you couldn't make it?
Exactly. Like since I could wrestle the night after Shimmer 53, I brought Peekaboo, and I was really sad not to work Sumi because I've been following her career for years, and I was like, finally it's happening because I always dreamed to wrestle her because she's like the first Japanese competitor that I knew maybe I could wrestle with because she was in the States so much, and then I went to Japan and all that stuff. But I'm like, I always liked Sumi Sakai, and I was like looking forward to it. And unfortunately, I had to go out and tell her I couldn't wrestle. But I asked her but I found an opponent for you, and I'm like, it has to be fall counts anywhere though, and no rules. And so she's like, okay, I'm ready. And then they rang the bell, and I said, your opponent is Peekaboo. And Peekaboo hit her with a headbutt of death. And that was it. She won her first match.
Excellent.
Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen.
Helped Sumi after winning over Allison Kay with the same headbutt of death. It's like, yeah, beware of Peekaboo. She's one tough bitch.
Yes, she is. One other thing another thing you missed out on, given the injury, was your shot at the WSU Championship against Jessicka Havok, and that would have been at the Queen and King of the Ring event, which is coming up. I mean, again, big miss for you, but hopefully it'll still be something that'll happen down the line, I assume.
Oh, like I still have my eyes on that belt. Like I had my eyes on it since the first time I walked in WSU. And since I've been there, I've always tried to put on the best performance ever for the officials to notice that I was champion material. And it's just a matter of time. Like Jessicka Havok can go out there and say that she's the champ, and nobody, like she didn't scare nobody, and she wants Sami Callihan. But she knows too well that it's not over, and I'm gonna get to that belt as soon as I come back to WSU. If I have to climb the ladder again, I will, and I will get to her.
Well, let's mention WSU, seeing as we're on that subject at the moment, because WSU started this working relationship with Femme Fatale last year. You went down to New York as part of that as well. Pretty much started up this feud with Mercedes Martinez, and it's led to just a series of just great matches between the pair of you. I mean, it's just that must just be something that you'd love to do. You just get in there and just go and wrestle hard.
Oh, for sure. Like when you go in there with Mercedes, you just go out there and you fight. And the last match we had, the Falls Count Anywhere, like we went out there for, I think it's 37 minutes, and it didn't feel like that to me. And the match before, like we had the cage match, and then we had the 30-minute draw. Like when you're in the ring with Mercedes, it's like, to me, like I feel like she's some sort of wrestling soulmate. I don't need to talk. I don't need anything. I just feel what she's about to do. Like she is so good. She is so good. And she's one of my favorite opponents. It's like you go in there and you just fight. Like one of the person actually that I went in the ring for the first time, and I felt exactly the same thing, was Saraya Knight. We went out there and didn't talk much. We just went out there and we went for a fight. And like there was no like really fancy moves or anything. It was just like pure old school brawl, and I loved it. Like she's a veteran of the ring, and she's really smart. She knows her way around the ring and outside. Like nobody I've known. I think like she's just amazing.
That was at Fan Patel 11. The match was for the Shimmer title, in fact.
Yeah.
And in fact, the DVDs of Fan Fatale 10 have just come out as well, and that's the one that's got the cage match with Mercedes. So if you want to check that out, you can order that now at ncwfanfatale.com.
Exactly, and then number 11 is going to come out it should be like a lot quicker than the last DVDs, because we now have somebody who's like in charge of the DVDs, a professional. So everything's gonna go a lot faster than the last one. Because it's my fault, because the last Femme Fatale 10, I was doing the editing, and my my hard drive, it was on an external hard drive, it crashed. And I lost everything. Yeah, so that's why it took so long. Like, I've lost so many things. I'm like, usually I make backups, but I just bought a new computer and I didn't have time to do everything. And I'm like, ugh, yep. So here goes the DVD. But thank God it's out now.
Just wanted to ask you quickly about the Mercedes feud, because you had quite a few matches. I just wanted to know which was your favourite out of all of those, because like you said, there were different styles. You had the Falls Count Anywhere, you had the cage match, you had the 30-minute draw, and they all seemed very different in how they were put together. So which was your favourite?
That's really hard, because they're so, like you said, they're so different. I really liked the first fight I had with her in July. The one that ended up with me moonsaulting on her to the outside and then fighting. It was a double count out. And the match, like, there was like no pinfall. We were just trying to beat each other up. I really liked that one. The cage I didn't see yet, so I can't. I always like to watch the match before saying like it was good. I think it was, but I like to see it and just I'm my worst critic. I think I really have to see the match and see how it went. If I had to pick one, I think it would be the Fall Counts Anywhere, because usually those matches, they don't really come out good. And this one was all over the place. There were so many moves. Objects were used with moves, and the kind of hardcore wrestling. I like it, like not major hardcore, but no rules match. The way I like it, and so many fans. Like, actually, there was one this week who sent me a Twitter saying, I can't remember his name. Sorry, he said like. That me and Mercedes got to do like the most interesting Fall Counts Anywhere match he's ever seen. Because usually it's just people brawling and there's nothing but special. But we went around like everywhere, and like it ended up with a burning hammer and a table from the apron. So I won. But yeah, I would pick this one because I think with the storyline, with the obstacle we had, like being in a new place, new crowd, everything. I think we managed to make that match like special.
See, personally, I would say the time limit draw match that you had last October. I think that would be my favourite, because you two didn't stop for half an hour. You just kept going at full speed for half an hour. It was just that 30 minutes just flew by like it was nothing.
Yeah, I really like that match too, but a lot of people didn't know. Well, people in attendance knew because I told them at during intermission. But I was so sick, like I had a influenza, like big like flu. And I went in there, and when I watched the match, like, I'm having a hard time breathing, and when I watch it, I notice it, so it bothers me because it looks like my cardio's like not really good, but I was so sick, and when I watch it, I see it, so I'm like, so it's not perfect, so that's why it's bothering me. But I really like that match too because there was a lot of workers in attendance, and we had they were surprised because I always get the same thing, like, wow, I didn't know you could wrestle like that, because some people still think that I only do hardcore, even if I haven't done like ultra-violent stuff since 2007. I will do like brawls and fall counts anywhere and, those basic no rules matches. But big hardcore, I didn't do like anything since 2007, but people are still thinking that's what I do. So when I go out there and have a 30-minute match like this, like, I always get the same thing, like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, well, thank you, but I'm like, do you watch Shimmer?
Apparently not, and they should start.
Something else I want to talk about, actually, that again, I don't know if I assume this was another byproduct of your injury, but you were recently stripped of the NSPW title. And for those of you who don't know, that's a male wrestling title organization in Quebec. So, once again, you're sort of like doing your part for gender equality there. What happened there that you were stripped of the title? And just, tell us about winning that belt and what that meant to you.
Well, it was the first time a female in Canada was champion of a big promotion. Like in Quebec, the number one promotion with Femme Fatale is NSPW. They've been voted promotion of the year for 2 years back to back. And they always get like close to 400 people in the place, and it's packed. So it's you'll have also like stars going there, like Rhino's going at the next show. We had not Eddie Edwards, but David Richards for a few shows. So it's a big promotion in Quebec. So when I got into a feud with the champion, I thought like, okay, I'm just gonna try to give him a good run. I don't want to say make him look good, but make him look strong. Maybe would be a better word, because like I always want my opponent to look so good. To me, it's like really important, because if your opponent look good, but you look good too. So, and the match is better, and I think that's how, when you work for each other, I think that's how you can pull out like match of the night, or matches of the year contender. So I was like really happy that they would trust me for that. And I remember some friends were telling me, like, they're giving it to you. I'm like, no, it's just a cool run because, they it's different or whatever. And the day of the show comes, and the promoter takes me aside with Stefan, because Stefan works at NSPW as well. And they're like, okay, so you're ready? I'm like, what? I didn't know what he was talking about. And he's like, well, it was coming. I'm like, what? I didn't know, like, or maybe I didn't want to know. And like, yeah, I was becoming champion that night, and it meant a lot to me, because as much as I do have the best fans in the world, but at home, I rarely got any recognition. Like I did, but it's always harder at home for some reason. It's like people know me more from other countries than my own province. So to me, to have such an important title was like, wow, like I get something from home, and this, without talking about Femme Fatale, because that's a different story. But I was thrilled, and like I wanted to make sure I would do my best to be a fighting champion. And unfortunately that injury happened, so I won't be able to defend my title for 3 months. So that's why they had to strip me. But like I'm so thankful and whatever happened with that promotion, that they give me the opportunity and the honor to be their champion. And the good thing is that I'm most happy about that is a lot of like a few fans, I would say a lot, yeah. Fans were like, "Oh, a girl champ! Well, what the hell are you doing?" Because they saw that I was going against the champion. If you do that, I won't watch wrestling again. I won't come to your shows or whatever. Like they were like really like mad because a woman was going against the champion. And when I won the belt, like the following show, they sold out all their VIPs like the same show, which was a first. The shows were packed. Radio stations were calling. Any kind of like it was everywhere. So what should have been like a little run, like stayed. Like I kept the belt because it was like so over with everybody, and like I'm really really thankful for that opportunity.
Well, speaking of opportunities, and we have sort of talked about some stuff that's, you've been unable to do because of your injury. One thing you were able to do before your injury, and I think you called it one of your career highlights, and that was being able to go down and work for AAA in Mexico back in March.
Oh, definitely. Like, AAA has been trying to get me down there for, like, they tried a few times before, but I didn't know, and I was really occupied with my graphic work. And then I'm like, Konnan sent me an email again. It's like, I would really like to use you for this, and this. I'm like, okay, no, I have to go. Like, I really want to try, and AAA is a big name, and I think it's time. And like right now, the time is right, because before there was always things that I was already booked, or I had to go for weeks, and I couldn't because of my work. And now the time was right, and I had like different email exchange with him, and he knew everything about my career, which was like amazing. And when I got down there, it's like I spoke with him, and he's like, I would really like to use you on a more regular basis. And he told me, like, it's about time. Like, you've been out there for 15 years busting your ass. It's about time that people know how good you are. I'm like, wow, Konnan is telling that to me? I'm like, I was like so surprised. And he knew everything, all my matches. Like, I know your style, just keep it like this. Like, I want you to bring your own style in Mexico. And he would give me such good advices. When you've been wrestling for 15 years, sometimes it's really hard to find somebody who has more experience and you actually can sit down, listen to them, and, get all, those advices, information, their whatever they think about your match. And with Konnan, that's what I was able to do. Like, sit with him. He would tell me what I did right, what I did wrong, what I should work on. Like, it was so it was like, I wouldn't say it was so fun and different, because usually I'm sitting backstage and I give advices, but I do need some. Like, in wrestling, you never stop learning. And with him, like, it was so cool. And when I went back actually for the big title match, he's like, it's going to be you and Fabi in the end. And he's like, you book it. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, you set up the match and you come back to me and tell me what you'll do. And I set up the match. I go to him and tell him. He's like, that sounds perfect. So we do the match, and the crowd was on their feet. There was like 14,000 people, which I've never experienced, and it was on TV, working with the camera, and I loved it so much. Like, I've been looking for this opportunity for so long, and I went backstage, and I go to see him, and I'm like, anything? He's like, that was an awesome match. I'm like, anything I need to work on? That was an awesome match. I'm like, okay. So I was so happy. And I know I'm going to go back AAA has big things coming up, and they want me to be part of it. So hopefully I'll be 110%, and I'll be able to go back because I just love the company. They're so professional. The owner, like Hollis family's involved, and it's really a family thing. It's a family, like it's love for Lucha Libre, and it's a great place to be.
One thing I wanted to mention just about that is I mentioned it to you at the time as well. There was something said about you in the Figure 4 weekly newsletter that went out the week of the final, and it describes you as Canadian rookie LuFisto.
Yeah, I'm like rookie to Mexico maybe, but I'm like I've been there since 2002. I'm like, wow, okay. I just laughed. It was funny.
Wow, I didn't even hear that. Obviously, Konnan knows more about LuFisto than Brian Alvarez.
Clearly does, yes. Or whoever was writing that bit.
Yeah, actually, that could be Steve Sims, I guess. But never mind. Yeah, okay. But yeah, no, I mean, I've covered that match that night for the website, and I was really pleased to see. I think you and Konnan had a bit of an exchange on Twitter and in the days after that as well, and he was really putting you over massively as well. So you reckon you're going to still be a part of this as much as possible going forward, yeah?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm as soon as I'm okay, like I'll get in touch with them, and I'll be ready to go back. That's for sure.
They've got the 2 rosters now as well.
Oh, like AAA is getting really big. Like they're working on a few projects, and so far it looks really good. So yeah, I'm really looking forward for any matches, any opportunities they have for me. Because yeah, I really feel that AAA is going to be really big in a year or two.
Well, they've got this brand split thing coming up, and they're reckoning they're going to be on TV in the US next year on the new El Rey network, and they've got this. In theory, anyway, assuming it all works out, they've got this U.S. roster who are going to be, doing matches and touring in the United States. So, yeah, sounds like there could be a lot of work there.
Oh yeah. So I'll be ready.
Let's talk about the gut check now. You did a TNA gut check in Ontario and Oshawa, I think is that right?
It's Oshawa.
Oshawa.
Oh, we were having a conversation beforehand about how you pronounced it. I lost.
Sure. Yeah. So you did the gut check, and it was in front of D'Lo and Al Snow and so on, and actually some of the footage ended up going up on YouTube, not of the actual match, but there was a bit of discussion about you amongst other people on the TNA YouTube site, and it caused a little bit of a mini stir with some of the comments that Al Snow made at the time, where he was suggesting perhaps that women in wrestling needed to look more like Sable than LuFisto. Looking back now, storming a teacup, or you're still involved in the gut check challenge voting.
The thing with gut check, like, why I decided to go is simply because the gut check was taking place on June 23rd of last year, which was the day I started wrestling in a ring professionally. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to spend this day in a TNA ring. Like, that was like a gift to me. I wasn't looking for anything more than, just having fun and learn maybe from somebody like D'Lo who's been in the business for so long. So I got there, and there was a lot of wrestlers I knew, like Courtney Rush, and we were the only 2 girls. So we ended up working together. And it was D'Lo, Brian Ebner, and one of the announcers, the blonde guy. I can't remember his name right now.
Jeremy Borash.
Exactly. Thank you. And so we did our drills, go for lockup with D'Lo. I was so nervous. So he locks up with me. He's like, oh, very good. And I'm like, okay, good. So I went out there. We did a little drills and chain wrestling, and everything went fine for me and Courtney. And in the end, we had to do like a match. So me and Courtney we fought for 5 minutes. We had to work the cameras and everything. And once we were done, D'Lo stood up and gave us a standing ovation, saying that was an awesome match. Like he loved it. And like right after one drill, before that match, like he grabs me by the arms, like, "Have you trained in Japan?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, "Oh, it shows." I'm like, "Okay." And then in the end, we do that match. Everybody's done, and I go to shake his hand to, tell him thank you because he's been giving us all those good advices and stuff. And he's like, he tells me like, "I have to tell you, you are so different from anything I've seen. Just make sure you stay that different because you're one of a kind." I'm like, "Oh, that's a great, great comment." Like, so I went home like this, and for the promo size, like I knew my promo was like not really good because I didn't know what to say exactly because some people were talking in character, other people were not, and I'm like, I didn't really know what to say because usually when when I know where I stand, I can cut like I think decent promos. But with this one, I just didn't know. And we have to go out there and whatever and say why we wanted to be there. I'm like, and I thought like bringing a bit of my character in Peekaboo would make me different. And it was not the best promo ever, but I'm like, okay, they saw that I do have that doll gimmick and whatever. And then, as you mentioned, the next week, I'm like, there's that All Snow thing, and he talks about me. I'm like, well, the thing is, I've watched it a couple of times. I'm like, there's nothing that he says that I can really work on. I'm like, yeah, but why am I not good? Or he goes on and on about women in wrestling, and I'm like, okay, but what's wrong with me? Like, and
yeah, the only thing you have to change is be completely different to what you are, was essentially what he said. Yeah,
and I was like kind of confused because I'm like, D'Lo told me the exact opposite thing. Like, you're so unique. Don't change. Because you stand out. I'm like, and this guy goes out there and say that I should look like Sable. I'm like, I understand like that, yes, I should be smaller for TV. Maybe like I should grow my hair or whatever. By the way, my short hair is not something I chose. I lost my hair on a bad bleach, so I'm not really thrilled about my short hair. It looks okay, but I did not like decide to have short hair because people are telling me like, oh, they love girl with long hair, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I lost my hair, so what do you want me to do? But yeah, like I was kind of confused with the All Snow thing. I'm like, I don't know if I should be mad or I'm just confused because he didn't really what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he didn't really criticize me. Like, he criticized women wrestling as a whole. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like,
let me ask you something then. Just confirm for me, was Al actually at the tryout?
No, he was not.
See, I think that's where the problem came. I mean, I think, and again, I don't know, I'm possibly speaking out of turn here as far as Al's concerned, but I get the impression that maybe he didn't see any of your actual wrestling, and he was presented with a 15-second promo on a TV show or a YouTube show, and he had to give an opinion on 15 seconds, and he probably, didn't have much to say, and ended up saying something that maybe was a little bit stupid in retrospect, but I think probably he's got nothing to say about you specifically because he doesn't know you, and I guess he's in that unfortunate position of when you're a talking head, you have to speak on command, and I don't know. It caused a little bit of a storm in a teacup for a little bit, and I just get the impression that D'Lo was there, he saw what you had, and he said good things. Al wasn't. Got the wrong end of the stick, perhaps based on a promo, but I wouldn't think it's anything to be overly concerned about if I were you.
No, I mean, I understand, like, if it's the only thing he saw, like, he wasn't impressed, because I wasn't impressed by myself, too. But, yeah, I just wish he would have saw the match I had with Courtney, and probably judge me more on what I can do overall than just a promo about something I didn't even know what to talk about. And because I'm pretty sure I can cut like decent promos. Like I did one to Mercedes lately who had like really good comments. The one I did with Mischief where I get a Shimmer title shot, like people are still talking about it. So I'm pretty sure like once I know what direction I need to go, like I'm pretty decent. But yeah, if it's the only thing he saw, I can't understand. But I just wish that they would give me a chance to showcase what I can do in front of a live audience.
Well, that brings us on then to the Gut Check Challenge, which has been stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, and is currently started again. I mean, when it first came around, you were really going out there and trying to get support for it, and then they just got rid of it completely when there was a glitch in it, and they had to scrap it, and then they started it again. I mean, now that it's restarted, how do you feel about it? Are you still looking to publicize it in the same way and see whether it takes you to the same places?
Well, I didn't talk about it a lot. Like I've like put up a banner on my Facebook page and my website, but I didn't really talk about it a lot because my bracket is only like next week. Actually by next Sunday, May 12th. So vote for me. But yeah, it was like so long that I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna ask people to vote for me or whatever. I'm just gonna put a reminder by the beginning of this week, to vote for me, because I think that I could really go out there and give them good matches, and I don't know if it's not that I really want to end up there, but I just feel it's something I need to do. I know like a lot of people say crap about TNA and the way not necessarily TNA, but the way the contest was going, because it got canceled so many times, or how it was of voting like changed, but now with the process they have going, it seems to be working good. So yeah, I'm just hoping people will vote as much as they did last time, because the first time the voting started, I was like so in advance. Like I was me and I think it was John Klinger from UK, or we were the two people in all the brackets that were like so like over everybody else, and like I had something like 3,000 votes over everybody else on my bracket, and then something happened, and then everybody could vote, and I was like the last one, and then I'm like, oh please, what the hell? And then all the fans got mad, and they got me up there again. Like I had like an advance, I think, of 10,000 votes. I'm like, oh, I'm getting this. Like, yeah. And then they canceled them. Like, what? Like twice I get up there, and I'm like, they canceled it. I'm like, oh, there must be a curse or something. I always get so close to many things in wrestling, and then it it doesn't work in the end. So this time I'm really hoping like people are going to vote for me, because I really think I could bring something different on what you see on TV. And I just remember the Knockouts division and what it used to be with Kong and Gil Kim and Amada, and I just think like it was so good back then. It's just so sad that they let such a good different product that was reaching another audience, like they let it go just to focus on something else that to me like didn't work as much as the Knockouts and the X division. So I'm like, just go out there. Like I'm on bracket 11, and there's a match with me there with my student Kalamity, so you could see my work as a wrestler and as a teacher. So just go out there, and I'm pretty confident that if you watch this match, you're gonna vote for me.
Awesome. Speaking of gut check, someone else who's recently had a gut check challenge and was unsuccessful was Ivelisse. And I just wanted to mention her just because you'd wrestled for Shine earlier on in the year, and you'd managed to wrestle Ivelisse in a match that I think most people thought was the best match of the night on that show. How did you enjoy your experiences in Shine?
I love Shine. The crowd was so awesome. Like, as soon as I went in the ring, like, they were already screaming my name, and Daphne told me after the show, like, do you know that you're the first person ever that they screamed, like, the name right when they get in on their first appearance? I'm like, really? I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And they were so into the match, and the setting of the place, the people running it. I mean, Lexi Fife and Sal, Daphne, real professional people, people I could learn from. Like, Lexi's like one of the greatest minds of wrestling out there, and yeah, I just love Shine. Plus, it's in Florida. I love Florida. There's no snow. I really enjoyed my match with Ivelisse. I think she has a lot of talent, and when she got let go from WWE, I just think they missed on something, because she's a good worker, she's good looking, she's a good character. I hope to work her again.
Another person that you wrestled last year, and I was in Montreal for this, and that was you get a chance to wrestle Jazz at Femme Fatale.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I know because I was there that weekend, and I remember you saying how you were actually quite nervous before the match because you were getting to wrestle someone that you had so much respect for. Match turned out great, so hooray for that. But what about that match?
Yeah, indeed, I was so nervous because while people were going crazy on Trish Stratus, I love Jazz. Jazz and Victoria were, to me, like the best wrestlers at that time when I was watching, a lot of WWF, and just to see her there, and she was like so nice, and you see that she loves this so much, and I could only have like so much respect for her. And to be in the ring with her, like, she is the first hardcore lady. Like, she's like ECW first lady, I think. Well, there's Missy Aya and all that stuff, like Francine, but I mean wrestling-wise. She was wrestling the guys. She was like, she kind of had the same, she kind of took the same road I did to get ahead in wrestling, the hardcore, wrestling the guys and kicking everybody's ass. So she's always been an inspiration. So to go in there with her, it was like, it's funny because I was like, man, I was watching her on TV and I was like, she's in the same ring than me. Like, the same thing happened with Ayako Amada. We were trading tapes from, All Japan Woman and all that stuff, gay or whatever, and I had a lot of Ayako Amada stuff. And to be in the ring with people like that, it's like, it's almost unbelievable, because you never think that you're going to be in the ring with somebody you've been watching on TV or share the same locker room. And it's just amazing. Like, you feel, it gives you a little confidence boost, I think, and it brings you back to where you come from, fighting the people that you were looking at when you were younger and you were starting wrestling, and they're right there with you in the ring and they're sharing their experience with you. So it's such an honor.
You almost did a chance to wrestle Tara as well recently. That one fell through, but I mean, is she the other sort of wrestling hero that you've got that you'd still like to be able to wrestle?
I would love to wrestle her. Like, she's been wrestling for, you still watch her today, and she's as good as she was like when I first started looking at her. And she's such a great character, and it's in her, she's got it. And I would love to wrestle her, because again, I think I could gain so much experience from her, good advices, and like, it would be like a learning process again. And she seems to be such a nice lady as well. We've exchanged a few tweets online, and she's always been she's always like really warm personality, and like I would like to know her as a wrestler and as a person, because she seems to be such a good person, and it would be definitely a dream come true if it could finally happen.
Well, she's becoming quite friendly with SHIMMER. You know, they've now got this thing going on Wednesday nights where they're showing SHIMMER shows down at her new restaurant. So who knows?
Yeah, I know. I saw that, which is amazing, because she's giving a chance to to people to discover like a different side of women wrestling that they usually see on TV or anywhere else. Like, it's not what I call the underground, promotions, because a lot of people know them, but the actual general public doesn't. So by going to a restaurant and having those SHIMMER nights, like they'll discover a lot of new fans. New wrestlers, and it'll bring new fans probably to the Berwyn Eagles.
The great thing about Tara that I spotted when she came to the SHIMMER tapings on the Sunday last month for the ones in Berwyn is that there was one of them. They was watching the matches, and she was quite enjoying them and stuff, and she was cheering for the people who she knew and stuff. The moment that Konnan came out, she pulled out her iPhone, she was taking photos. She's still a fan of women's wrestling and just great wrestling in general. It was really fantastic to see. So it looks like that, I suppose, schedule permitting, she may be back.
I hope so. Like, that's one thing I really was pissed about, not being the SHIMMER, besides not being there for Allison. I'm like, oh, I could have met Tara.
Then I'm very sorry for rubbing it in just there.
I know. But, if that's the way she acted, that's one of the proof that, she's got wrestling in her, and she loves it, like, in any kind of way, as a wrestler, as a fan. Like, I just think that if you're a wrestler, there needs to be that little part in you that, stays a fan. Like, I like tonight I'm going to watch SmackDown. I tweet a little bit of things like, I hate The Miz. I'm going to say it. Like, I don't care. Fuck The Miz. And, I'm still a fan. Like, there's some things I don't like. I will probably say it. And if there's things I really like I really like the Shield. Like, I will tweet, like, I believe in the Shield, or I'm still a fan. Like, I think you have to enjoy it, because that's your passion. Like, as much as being in the ring and outside. Like, I see so many people being wrestlers, and they don't enjoy the other product. They don't enjoy wrestling as a fan anymore. They take it like too seriously, and I mean, it's good. Like, I take everything I do like really seriously in the ring, but there comes the times where you have to sit down, look, and be a fan again to appreciate your own work.
Before we finish up, we've got to take the opportunity to speak to you about this, because obviously you're the best placed person to have an opinion on this. We've seen the emergence of Kalamity over the last couple of years, and I think Angie Sky is on the way up as well. I think lots of people have been very impressed with her at the last couple of SHIMMER Sparkle shows, and also at Femme Fatale as well. I think she might be the next sort of breakout from Montreal. But as far as the other young wrestlers from that area, I mean, who should we be looking out for? Who else do you think has got potential? I mean, it may still be a few years away, but who do you see potential in the Montreal scene now?
One wrestler people don't know much about, because she's fairly new to the promotion. She's been wrestling for a few years, though, because she started at 16. Her name is Mediane. She's from Quebec City, and she is such a great heel. Like, everything she does is crisp. She has that way of, she's a heel, and she has that way of making people, like, really pissed. And I just think, like, yeah, she would be one of the girls where, I wouldn't be scared to bring her to SHIMMER. I know she would do good, and I think people, the more they'll see her wrestle on Femme Fatale, they will discover that she's a really good worker and a really good character. So besides the other names that people saw shine, I think she would be the one people should look at.
She was around for some of the early Femme Fatales and then disappeared for a bit and came back, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She was on Femme Fatale, I think, 2, but she got a knee injury, actually. So that's why she was out for a few a few months, or I think almost a year actually. And yeah, when she was living like 5 hours away from Montreal. Now she lives in Quebec City, which is NSPW city. So it's much easier for her now to come, and her knee's fine and everything. Like she's doing great. So yeah, you're going to see her at every show now. Besides her, for sure there's NG Sky, and Kira's working hard like so much. But the only thing I would love to do with those girls, because right now I'm not training them, but I wish I could. It's just like we don't have a ring or something, and there's so many things they need to work on to be able to, it's always fun to be on Sparkle, but you need to get to Shimmer. You must have that goal. And right now, I think that's the thing missing. Like they need to work on a lot of things to, start thinking about, okay, I did enough of Sparkle. I want to get in Shimmer. And they're not there yet. So, but they love it so much that if there's any way to train them, for sure, like they're gonna get up there. Like you said, Angie's been doing really good. She's been wrestling for quite some time now, but in the last year, she stepped up. So there's a few things here and there to work, but yeah, she keeps working that way. Like for sure, she's gonna have a bright future.
The last time we talked to you on a full podcast, you did a Christmas show with us a couple of years ago. But the last time we talked to you on a full podcast was the 9th episode of the Women of Wrestling podcast. It's almost 3 years since we spoke to you in at length, I should say. And one of the things I remember you saying at the time, and this was certainly around the time that you were having some health problems, you'd had your stroke, and after that you would have had your heart surgery and all as well. So it was probably a bad time for you in general. But you were talking at that point about you being much closer to the end of your career than the start, shall we say. You were talking about winding down. You were talking about retirement being something that was looming for you. It seems to me, and again, I'm not you, but it seems to me that retirement's been pushed back quite a bit.
For some reason, every time I have a major injury or something and I come back, like, I have to say, I've been doing the best matches of my career in the past 2 years. And I really thought that I wouldn't be able, because there was more problems with my back. I had that stroke thing, the heart surgery, but with the heart surgery, my breathing problem has been fixed, and my back is doing fine. I'm like, everything's all good. And so right now, like, I don't want to talk about maybe retiring. I'm like, when it happens. I still think I do have a year or two, like a good year or two left. But then again, like when an injury happens like the way it did, for sure, like I do question myself, like, oh, how long do I have? And I would really love to have wrestling as my main career, but I'm getting older and I don't know if it's still possible. Although in Mexico they're all my age, like they're about all the same age, like Fabi Apache and all those amazing girls. So in Mexico it doesn't really bother, so age or something. Actually, that's one thing I told Konnan. I'm like, because he was telling me about being there like full time and what did I think about it. I'm like, do you know, like, I'm 33? He's like, yeah, so what? I'm like, well, sir, I got a few injuries and it's like, it doesn't show in the ring. Like, I know, like, I don't feel them at all. But I'm 33 and I know it works with the women. If you look older, it's like, he's like, bullshit. You go out there, he's like, you go out there and you wrestle like nobody else. I don't care. I'm like, it's like, Fabi's 32. She's turning 33 soon. I'm like, okay.
A great man, Konnan.
Yes,
there
he
you
is.
Go.
He's good to me. I can't complain.
No, I remember I spoke to you briefly at the end of one of the Shimmer shows a couple of years ago, and I remember saying to you, don't retire anytime soon. Don't retire. So, it seems that way. I'm glad to hear it.
LuFisto is very bad at retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suck at it every time I want to go, like, whoop, oh, good matches. I'm like, okay, I'm still good to go.
You wrote something a couple of years ago, or maybe a couple of years ago. It's a bit overdoing, maybe a year or so ago. But you wrote something and you let us put it on the website as well. It was something you put on your Facebook originally about your relationship with professional wrestling, and you sort of talked about how it was a difficult road for you, and you described it as a love-hate relationship that you have with wrestling. Where are you now with pro wrestling? Is pro wrestling sleeping on the sofa, or are you snuggling up?
I think I'll always have the love-hate relationship with wrestling because I love being out there. I love to entertain. I love having the satisfaction of giving my opponent the best matches I can have, give the fans, their money's worth. And I just feel great meeting with the fans after, and all this stuff makes me happy. And just like I said, I have the greatest fans because when I got injured, I have that Amazon wish list, and so many people sent me things like books and my spinner bike was a gift from one of my fans that I do thank. She know who she is, and this gift's gonna help me so much with my recovery, and it's such a great. I just can't describe how much it means to me that when I got injured, I got all those gifts because I didn't really have time to feel, down or sad because I had so many books to read. and now I could hop on my bike and I know my recovery is going to be so much easier because I can't go to the gym because my gym's on the second floor and I can't go up all those stairs yet. But I still can bike now thanks to a wonderful person who got me a bike, and I'm blessed to have so many people helping me around, getting through all this, and so this makes me love wrestling, and for all the women wrestler who supports me, who help me for whatever, and all my buddies from wrestling, the guys, and always cheering and trying to, get me going and trying to encourage me, and so I don't give up. And that's the good part of wrestling. But there's always the thing where I've worked so hard for so many years, and yet still wrestling's not my main job. I always get the comments that I'm too small, I'm too big, or I really get comments that I'm too ugly for professional wrestling. So all this makes me kind of, hate the profession because I'm you can fix somebody's looks, but the talent you can't. But the things they hire looks and then they try to fix the talent and it doesn't come out always great. It will sometimes. But I'm I really wish somebody would give me the opportunity to show what I could do. And if I have to fix something, my hair, whatever, I'm a hard worker. I'm not scared of anything like that. But it just makes me hate that part of the business where it's who you know and it's what you look like that will get you through. To get to a point where you actually can say, I am a professional wrestler and that is my job. And, I'm getting older and I don't see it happening right now. And I'm I feel like I've kind of failed in a way. Some people told me, I remember Matt, Matt who hangs out with the Joshis, he's I was talking to him about quitting, and he told me, well, when you're done, it's not quitting, it's retiring. But I'm still, I will feel I haven't done what I wanted, which was being a professional wrestler, as a real professional. And that's the side of wrestling that makes me kind of sad sometimes, because I feel because I was born too small or I have problem losing weight that this opportunity will never come, and that just makes me sad, and not just for me, but for so many other people that I believe should have contracts right now, and they don't. And which brings me to El Generico. This guy work his ass so much, and I cannot describe how happy I am that this guy right now has the opportunity to shine and, have his dream come true and be a professional wrestler. Because he's one of those who sacrificed a lot, and he went through, big injuries and been traveling the world to get his name around, and he's such a good wrestler. Like, he's one of the best I've ever seen. And at least with the new direction WWE is going, and I see all these indie guys going on TV, I'm like, okay, like right now, people are working hard, are getting chances. Just think about Dean Ambrose on TV, or Daniel Bryan or CM Punk. I'm like, wow, this is finally like moving. But the thing I just feel a little bit sad for me is like, I think it might be too late because I'm too old. So that's the part of wrestling that that is the hate side of my relationship.
Yeah, but I guess it's how you define success, because we talked about it on the previous full podcast that we did about you changing laws. You made it easier for women to be able to wrestle in Canada and in Ontario. You've got, like you said, you got students, and you got people who have come through and they're succeeding, like Kalamity, and they're following a legacy that you set up. So it's not like I guess it depends on just what you do, what you look at and think, okay, that's my legacy, and that's what I've brought to wrestling. Because let's be honest, you have brought a lot.
The thing with indie wrestling is you never know exactly what you brought, because a lot of people unfortunately forget. That's one discussion I had with Allison Danger, and I just thought the exact same way. If once you're done, who will remember? And like just the new kids I see coming and training, you just talk about them, about old school guys that were known, and they don't know them, and they don't look. They don't try to know where wrestling came from. And that's one of the things, like, yes, you do bring things, but as an independent wrestler, you're quickly forgotten, unfortunately.
So for any young wrestlers listening to this is Mama LuFisto laying down the law here.
Know where you came from.
Absolutely. Just one final thing before we finish up. You were talking about your prognosis and when you were hoping to get back in the ring and wrestle again. I haven't got the date to hand or anything like that, but are you basically hoping that your return will coincide with Femme Fatale 12?
Yeah, Femme Fatale 12 is on July 6th, so I'm aiming for that date right now.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we will wish you all the best for that. I fully expect you'll be there, and I fully expect you'll probably be your usual insane self.
I hope so.
Just watch out for that moonsault, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. No more.
It's not the falling, it's the sudden stop at the end.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I love how we could just laugh about an exploded kneecap.
Yeah.
Well, we can now, yeah.
Wrestling is messed
it
up.
Happened, then, better laugh at it than cry. Like, I cried enough when I got the surgery and stuff, so right now I'm feeling much better. I'm looking at my scars right now, like, it looks really good. So, yeah, you have to stay positive, I guess.
We would have had a much different podcast to be done this 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. As I was going to say, I was watching an interview with Triple H, who was talking about injuries. It's like you have two choices. You give up and you just whine, or as soon as you're injured, you work for your return. And I thought that was really smart to think that way, because injuries will happen. Like, it's not my first one. It's probably not the last one. Like, Kalamity just got injured. So many people get injured, and it's part of wrestling. And like Triple H said, like, that's how you see, like, who are like, I don't want to say the real wrestlers, but who like the people who have like real passion for it will just like, you know, step back and, you know, look at, okay, this is when I will return. This is I'm gonna work for my return, and just stay positive and just work through the recovery, and, you know, just go back in business as usual. So it's just like a thing you have to go through once in a while, because it's part of it. Like, whatever people say, like, wrestling is definitely not fake. It's not like we get injured all the time. We have bruises at every matches. The next day, like, the more you get older, like, oh, it gets so tough to wake up in the morning. Trust me. So, yeah, so just have to stay positive and, you know, have a goal. Like, when it happened in the first few days, I was whining, and I'm like, oh my God, another injury, what I'm going to do. And then I just like, okay, now that I've cried, what's my goal? I want to return, because I'm not done. I still have things to do. I have that gut check to win. I have the SHIMMER belt I want around my waist. I want that WSU belt. So, like, I want all these things before I'm done. So, you know, I have to go back to work, and as soon as possible. So, which I've been doing.
And that, Stu, is why she's my hero.
There you go. And on that bombshell, we will draw a finale to the proceedings here. LuFisto, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today, a lot of your time today, in fact. You know, I'm like you said, I'm sure you're going to be getting straight back on the bike, literally.